Warning: the following content is not intended for non mature audiences. Regardless of that, we are well aware that our opinions are not facts. However, we maintain that we are incredibly passionate about our opinions and the subjects that we talk about. Regardless of the content following, we hope that you enjoy and thank you for listening.
Sup, fuckers?
I do the intro and I'm starting to wonder why.
Football's never done. Yeah, so uh, as far as our football talk goes for today, the SEC and Big Ten, the two big dogs in the Power Four, right? Power Four now, Power Five. I don't know. Anyways, the two big dogs of it have managed to bully their way into getting a bigger playoff picture for this year, as far as I know. And this bigger playoff picture will allow for them to get guaranteed of 4 spots for each of their teams. So, what are your thoughts on that? Well, I mean, you gotta imagine they're not going to take too lightly to it, but at the same time, they're going to have to suck it up because they're not as big as SEC and Big Ten are. Mikey, what are your thoughts on it?
I I'm kind of with Jordan here in the sense that well, let me put it this way. I see the benefits that could come out of this. I could see the opportunity, but at the same time, I wonder, I worry. I don't know that the community as a whole needs the drama that might be incoming from this, but at the same time, all I can do as a fan is hope for the best. But other than that, I got nothing else. I mean, we'll just have to see how it plays out, honestly. That's all we can do.
Right. I've been saying this for a while now, and I know that we're far fetched from this happening. But with us getting bigger and bigger playoff pictures, because I'm sure that they're going to try probably 16, and then after 16, they'll try 18 if it doesn't work out one way or the other for them. And if we get to that, we just need to go the NFL route with breaking everybody off into different divisions. Maybe we have it just everybody's either in the SEC or everybody's in the Big Ten, but then we split them off into smaller groups like you do with the NFC and AFC with the NFL. Because I mean, hell, that's the way it seems like either way, and I mean, you're going to get yourself used to playing in that type of picture if you do it that way, right? For on the college level going into the NFL. So I mean, why not just do it like that? I mean, if you're gonna have the two bigger conferences decide that they're gonna lay down the law like this, lay it down back at us and just say, all right, this is how we're gonna go on with this. Right. My only last thought on this too is, will this undermine the championships of their conferences? Like having the SEC championship and the Big Ten championship. Will that matter anymore? If you're putting four teams in on each side either way? I mean, wouldn't that just take away and not make you want to play that championship game and risk of injuring your stars? My only other thought too, slightly with that is, I mean, I guess you could say like whoever loses the SEC championship or the Big Ten championship, whoever's the loser automatically gets knocked out, and then the other teams come up and take over those spots. So that way you do have a reason to. So that way it matters to win the SEC championship or to play it. Right, yeah. Just give it that little bit extra so that way, you're making these other big games. That way you're making them matter too, in a way. Good grief. Yeah. And I also see this becoming to where, every team is slated to probably play 9 game conference games, and then probably like the Big Ten and SEC have to play each other in like an X amount more of those games too. And we don't have these like Tennessee taking on UT Martin or Florida taking on, I don't know, Florida A&M, let's say. You don't get those games anymore. Instead, you're getting Tennessee and Ohio State taking on each other in regular season. You got Florida taking on Michigan in regular season. So that way it has bigger impact on both sides too, which would be cool too. And I thought Nebraska was backing out of those types of games because of tampering. Is what I heard. They are doing a renovation to their stadium, but I don't see what that would keep you from playing a football game. I mean, sure, you might not play it at your home stadium. Go play it at whatever stadium's close by.
That it sounds to me that the revenue from the tickets purchased at their stadium is their concern. I can't say that definitively. I can't say that with definitive. Like I can't say that definitively. But if I had to guess, I mean, a lot of ticket sales do go to many projects within a school campus, among other things, as well as fatten certain pockets. So I can understand why they'd be like, we're not going to make any money off it. No.
They're Well, I mean, you also got to think, though, that same time, there probably ain't that many other big stadiums in Nebraska.
All that space is taken up by corn.
You would have to go out of state to probably have a game like that. Neutral field. But, anyways, that's all I got on that. Anything else? Well,
Zuko?
Well, I mean, we're out here at the anniversary on it.
Uh,
So go ahead, Mikey.
Not me thinking to myself, dang, it really took everyone else 10 years to realize Korra, the Legends of Korra was booty. J.K. Simmons can't save everything he's in. Now, that is just a harsh take. There were moments in Legend of Korra that were great. I just felt like I saw a lot of writing that didn't make sense. Just that, I don't know, there was sometimes it just, I can't I don't have the entirety of that, of all its seasons just in memory, but so I can't, point out a specific time. But there were moments where I'm like, wait, why? Why that doesn't make sense. Hold on, wait, what? What? I don't know. I don't. I definitely don't like it more than I like the Last Airbender. I'll tell you that. But that's all I really got to say about it. Other than I'm excited and I hope it's good because even if I don't particularly like Korra, I don't want the entire franchise to fail because it was very important to me as a child.
So I don't know a lot about the Last Airbender or any of the movies, the TV shows. I don't know a lot. Okay. I was hoping that we'd have Austin on by this point because I know he's a big fan of it too, and he could share his thoughts a little bit better than me. I know that the one of the movies that came out was complete trash,
Yes.
and then I've heard that we're getting another movie that's animated. It I think, has to do with Aang, is the way they're talking about. Um, that and we have this live action one going on. I haven't even heard anything about it, season 2 on it. I imagine that they'll do a season 2 on it. As far as I know, it was doing good, wasn't it? So there's no telling if we'll get a season 2 on that then.
So long as they don't start calling him Ong, I'll be fine.
And then, from what I've heard slightly, is I believe that this new series is going into the future again, the exact same way Legend of Korra did. To me, and from what I've heard from others, is that they should just start going back to before Aang and tell us about the past instead of keep on going in towards the future on it.
Yeah, how many people do you think would be excited? Well, uh, maybe if Austin was here, he could back me up on this. But speaking to the listeners, I'm certain that there's a lot of people out there that would love to see the original stories of the people who came before Aang, like Avatar, Kyoshi, and a few others.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. I need to watch at least the original series because I've even heard that one's great. I know a few things from it, but not enough to give in depth talk over it. So that's my thoughts towards it though. Is that it's nice that they're still coming up with stuff and they're still running through different things, and I think it's all I think it's all being written and done by the original people that did the last Airbender too. So
Oh, thank God.
there's a good chance that's going to be really good, whatever they end up doing. So I'm looking
Dig
forward to it for you guys that are Avatar fans. Let me know how it goes. That's all I got. Nowadays, yeah, so with this lawsuit that's happened and this man winning the lawsuit, what does this mean for as far as US theaters go? Does this mean that there's a chance that, we're going to go back to only having an X amount of previews or commercials beforehand? Because there was a time where it used to be you only got 3 trailers and they all had to do with the exact same genre of what you was about to watch. So what do y'all think? Does this mean that we're closer to having less time being shown with trailers? Does this mean that there's a bigger chance of a lawsuit happening here in America for more money? Or do you even care? Do you enjoy watching this many trailers? Well, I mean, this is no, you're good. Go ahead, Mikey.
Well, so a couple of things. You referenced our, the theater local to us and here in Athens. Uh, a lot of theaters, at least locally owned and operated ones, uh, do rely on, to an extent, ad revenue in order to bolster their sales. But you'll also notice theaters like our local theater rely on their snack bar for the majority of their sales too, as all ticket sales are taxed by the studio that produced the film. So a cut of that sales profit goes directly to whoever is leasing them the reel in order for the audience to watch. Um, so I don't know, not to play the devil capitalist advocate here or anything, but I wonder if if surges in uh, you know if a lot of people did begin to sue, if it's even viable here in the states or not, whether or not would it affect smaller theaters? I wonder. Uh, Other than that, I mean, I have a hard time seeing of people trying to bring up legal lawsuits with, at least here in the U.S. I don't see it going as easily as some people may hope or think this might be their next get rich scheme or whatever. Because I don't know how things are done in other countries like India where this man won his lawsuit. But I can say when it comes to America, I don't think there's many lawyers who are going to really cave to that. Um, I don't know. It on one hand, when it comes to my personal feelings about trailers, I like seeing trailers. I like knowing what's coming up and what's available to me in the future should I choose to go and watch it. But other than that, I'm with Jordan. I saw the same Mufasa trailer too many damn times that by the time I had seen it by the upteenth time, I did not care about the movie. I was like, I hope they both get run over by buffalo. Like at some point, seeing the exact same thing becomes an annoyance and a waste of time. Sure, but it's only an annoyance and a waste of time if it's constantly being shoved in your face. So I get where the guy is coming from, but I don't know if stunts like that would fly over here in the US. And as far as trailers go, if it's a specific trailer about something I deeply care about and really love, yeah, I'll probably see it one, two, three times and like it or not care about it each time. But after seeing the Mufasa trailer like 20 different times over the span of I don't know how long, I was like, I hope this movie bombs. I'm so tired of seeing the same trailer. So, bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, I guess.
Now, listen, I 100% think that this is something that can happen in the U.S. where somebody will sue over this, and how much money they'll win, I don't know. But I mean, for Christ's sakes, we've had two even odder lawsuits that we've heard of somebody suing Red Bull because they didn't get their wings, and
You know what? That's a great point. I didn't
and
think of that.
also I think a woman suing McDonald's because her coffee was hot and it got spilled on her or something.
Suing McDonald's because my Happy Meal did not make me happy.
I mean, we've had some crazy lawsuits, so it's not too far fetched for this to be something that gets picked up here in America as a lawsuit. Uh, this has been a big talking point occasionally because if I'm not mistaken, it was either this past or last year or one the past couple of years ago. I believe it was Paramount's head over their studios had begged with people or begged with movie theaters to stop showing as many trailers as they do because it is taking away, and people are tired of seeing so many trailers. And also, not that long ago, there was a governor. Uh, Oddly enough, I think it was the governor of Florida had or is trying to have a law passed to where they show what time the movie starts with the trailers and then what the actual movie showtime is. So that way people who don't want to sit through trailers don't have to worry about sitting through trailers or playing the guessing game on when to show up. Because there are people out there who play the guessing game with whenever to show up, and that was one of the things too with that lawsuit out in India is that they had to start showing whenever the movie was actually going to start showing, not just whenever you can arrive and get your seat, but also if you show up at this point in time, yes, this is whenever the movie is actually going to start and not just trailers. Now, don't get it wrong. I love watching the trailer every now and then, especially in the movie theater. It gets me excited for whatever movie's coming up next that I might want to go see. And sometimes that's where the first place is that I and many others see a trailer. But at the same time, I don't want to sit through like 5 different movie trailers, and not to mention all the Coke commercials, the Diet Coke commercial, the Cars commercial, the insurance commercial, the local commercials of the dentist office or whatever else you can throw in there. I don't want to sit through all that necessarily. Now, take it I do anyways because I like showing up 30 minutes early so that way I know I get my good seat. But still, it would help if we didn't have as many trailers to have to sit through, and not only that, but if the trailers actually had to do with the same genre of movie that I'm about to watch. But that's my thoughts.
You know, I didn't initially think about this when I was talking earlier, but Ridge, you talking about it, you know, from your point of view, reminded me of the old saw. Time is money, and in America, you can definitely sue over loss of money.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a big thing. Is time is money, and you know you have, especially like at a certain time for some people. I mean, they might want to go watch an early movie or something because they got to get back home because they told the babysitter, "Hey, our movie starts at this time, so the movie should be done at this time. So we'll be back." But you know, with how trailers are and commercials run, it could be, "Hey, our movie's at this time," but in all actuality, it didn't start till 45 minutes later because of all these trailers and commercials.
That's true.
So I can definitely see this getting picked up by an American and somebody suing like AMC or Regal or something. I know it won't be me, but anyways, Slater, what's next? Mm,
Hmm.
let's see here. My initial thought on who should be James Bond, maybe Henry Cavill, but at the same time, I'm not 100% sure.
Hmm. Well, when I think of James Bond, I'm probably like everybody else. I think of someone who is charming, dashing, debonair. They're cunning, and you know, expertise far beyond the normal quantities and all that jazz. Right? You think of James Bond, and you think of just about every actor who has played James Bond. But looking at James Bond, you know, the 007 series, you know, it just as a franchise, you know, it comes to me, the way I view it now is that James Bond, 007, those names are titles. And in a world of spies, anybody can be 007. Anybody can have the name James Bond. Uh, you know, and to that extent, you know, I started thinking about different people. The first person that did come to mind I thought would be, you know, an interesting pick was Idris Elba. I think he could make a good run of it. I do. I'm with you on that. I'm also with Ridge on Henry Cavill. I think he'd do it. Or I think he'd make a good run of it. I don't know if he would do it, but like I think I think he could do a good job. He's proven in his acting that he is flexible and charming enough to do it. Um, but man, there's someone I'm thinking of. Hold on, I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm gonna have to. If somebody else wants to take over for a second while I look it up.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. So here's another question, real quick, while Maki's looking this up. It's a slight question. Is either one of y'all upset with this that they have full creative control? Because apparently this is a big thing that's going around. Is that people are scared or upset with Amazon having full creative control. They don't think that they're going to do it justice. As far as I know, they've done good with a lot of what they've had, you know? Well, and there's always going to be haters over it. But I mean, I don't know, because they've given us good. I mean, Amazon's had some good shit come out. I mean, Fallout has won awards. And The Boys, Invincible's been really good. I mean, they don't have a lot of shit that's missing right now, and people are just. I guess people are just worried sometimes whenever it comes to this type of shit. And
Oh, my bad, Ridge. Finish your thought
no,
first.
no, go ahead. I was just babbling on about how people are worriers about, them ruining the 007 franchise and, the possibility of some people are even saying, oh, well, now they're going to change James Bond into Jessica Bond, which
I
is stupid, but,
Yeah, I was about to say I think that train of thought is a little dumb, especially considering that my viewpoint is it is both the name James Bond and 007 are a title. This is a world of spies. But two names I want to frisbee out real quick, and y'all can disagree or agree. It's up to y'all. First name, keeping in the same vein as actors like Idris Elba, I want to throw out Jamie Foxx. I feel like he could do it. And another one I want to throw out, Shamar Moore. Listeners, if the name Shamar Moore is unfamiliar with you, you should know one of his most popular characters that he's ever played is Special Agent Derek Morgan from Criminal Minds.
Oh,
Like I was trying to find, like I said, just in the same vein. I can't think of a lot of, well, in the same vein as Idris Elba, which is to say, popular black actors. But I did some looking through some of the more uh, well-oriented and popular white actors, male actors, and I didn't see anybody who I thought would fit the bill because, of course, I'm seeing a lot of actors I've seen playing Marvel and other movies, and I just don't see it. But I think out of the three names I gave, Idris Elba would do good. I do think Jamie Foxx would do good, just because he has a history. He has a very fluent history of acting, but in just terms of like 007, someone I think that could really fit it and really do a good job, I'm hanging with Shamar Moore here.
Uh, just slightly of reaching out that exact same question to Mikey. Mikey, are you in any way upset with the idea of Amazon having full creative control over this franchise moving forward?
I think I would be more upset if I was a James Bond superfan. Uh,
Right.
I like James Bond. I like the franchise. I cannot, however, lay any claim to being a super fan. You know, I've seen the majority of the movies, but I've seen the majority of the old ones. Uh, I've seen a couple of the new ones, but eh, I'm a fan, not a huge fan. I can't say I would be as upset about. I would. That's all, folks. Uh, I'm not as upset as I believe other people could be, just because I don't. I'm not that big of a fan. I definitely understand why some people would be more upset, not trusting Amazon or thinking they're going to make it overly woke or all the other jazz that they could throw at it to just preemptively make it negative in their minds. So, on one hand, I guess I'm a little skeptic, but skeptical on the other hand, maybe it could be a good thing. It's just one of those things that we won't know until it happens, and until then, try to have faith that you might like it. Why ruin why ruin your joy now, dude? It's you're not going to have it forever. Try It's not ignorance is bliss, it's called being hopeful. Just give it a shot.
How we're at. All right. Well, I mean, so Daniel. Yeah. Speaking of 007 and James Bond, the actor Daniel Craig was set to play Sergeant Rock for DCU. If you don't know, Sergeant Rock was a old comic book character from DC. This project has been trying to get up and running for a long time now. Has had different names attached to it to play Sergeant Rock. You had Bruce Willis at one point and Arnold Schwarzenegger. They've both been looked at for it, and it just never got up and running. Well, here recently, Daniel Craig got casted as Sergeant Rock, and to be a part of the Easy Company for a nice World War II movie in the DCU. But now he has stepped away from this project, and with reasons unknown. So, do you have any thoughts about the character? Any thoughts about Daniel Craig stepping away from this role? Who would you like to see maybe step into this role moving forward? Yeah, Mikey.
I'm in the same boat as Jordan is here. I'm not well versed on Sergeant Rock as a character. Uh, I know a little about him, in meaning I've seen that name pop up in a few different comics, but never enough to be super concrete for me to want to explore more about that character. It does sound like they're looking for an actor who is older to play him, which does make sense, but I'm not quite sure who they could pick for that, all things considered.
Now, I also heard that there was a possibility of them going a younger route and telling a young story of a younger Sergeant Rock, with it being I can't think of his name right off the top of my head. The actor from The Bear. Yep, Jeremy Allen White. There also have been rumors of him possibly taking on that role as well.
I like
Pretty.
Jeremy Allen White as an actor.
So the way it sounds like this movie would pretty much be like, I don't know if y'all had ever heard of it, but I think it was called Inglorious Bastards or something like that. It was a World War II movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that movie. I love that movie.
So there was a chance for it to be sort of kind of something like that, except more DCU related. I wouldn't say friendly because we all know that James Gunn isn't shy from stepping into the rated R zone, especially whenever it comes to characters like G.I. Robot, which could make an appearance in a Sergeant Rock movie because they were both a part of the Easy Company and both in World War II taking on Nazis.
Oh boy.
So yeah, I mean it sounds fun in general. And I hope that they find somebody soon for it. I mean, as far as I know, they weren't in the filming phases or anything of it. They're still in the early phases, so it was good that Daniel stepped out when he did from it. So that way, it's still very early on, and they can look for their next actor to step into that role. But anyways, that's my only thoughts on that. I have no DCU stuff to bring up. Right now, I have two questions that I would like to ask the group about the MCU, however. So, you're good.
I was confused, but I wasn't going to question it.
You're good. All good. So, my two questions. Well, let's just take it one at a time, all right? So, we all know that in the MCU right now, the Incredible Hulk is just Professor Hulk, the Hulk that shows up to family cookouts with his son, who has a weird ass haircut. We're coming up on Doomsday and Secret Wars. So my question is, and it's something that the fans have been wanting to see since, before Endgame, how the fuck do we get back to Rageful Hulk or Hulk going hulked out? Are you wanting to tell the class, or are you wanting to hold on to it?
You've been warned.
3, 2, 1. Mikey?
So, first thing, I want to answer your question with a question real quick, Ridge, just for my own clarification.
Okay.
You say Hulk. Are we talking
Mm-hmm.
about Thunderbolt Ross or Bruce Banner?
We are talking about getting Bruce Banner back to Rageful Hulk and no longer having Professor Hulk. Let's get out of that phase. Let's go back to full rage, apeshit gorilla mode. Hulk.
Okay, so first thing I'm going to list off I'm going to not stroke my own ego here. I'm at my limited knowledge, because I guarantee you there are individuals out there who know vastly more about the Marvel universe than I do. But To anybody who knows the Hulk well enough, they know that Bruce Banner and the Hulk are not the same person. And that is in the comics treated very literally. It is a kind of it is framed as a personality disorder, but Bruce can in many comics attempt to communicate with the Hulk. It is an out of body experience. When it's just Bruce, Hulk is on the inside ready to go ape. When it's Hulk on the outside, Bruce is on the inside either hiding in fear or trying to reason with the Hulk to make sure he doesn't destroy absolutely everything and help their friends. Or trying to calm Hulk down so that he can come back. Bruce feels like a prisoner trapped to his rage, and Hulk feels like a prisoner trapped inside puny Banner. The existence of Professor Hulk suggests that Rage Hulk has been absorbed and that both men or both individuals are now one. But what we've seen in the MCU doesn't appear to be the case to me, because he's fine. He's jokey. He's the same amount of awkward Bruce Banner I think would be if he never had to deal with the Hulk. He's just that. He's a merge of both. So with the way the MCU's going, I don't know that we'll get green rageful Hulk back. Not unless something just cracks Bruce's psyche again so deeply that he loses it all over again. But for something of that level to happen that heavily, at least going off what I know of, the way he is now, if Bruce's psyche cracks big enough for the Hulk to come back, we might not see Bruce again for a very, very, very long time. But that's just, like I said, my knowledge on it, my limited knowledge, and like I said, many others, including you guys, know that the Hulk and Bruce Banner are separate. It's just the way that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has chosen to display Professor Hulk. I'm skeptical about Rageful Hulk coming back unless something very, very terrible happens. And whatever the event that happens would have to be big enough to either turn Bruce Banner into Maestro or World Breaker Hulk. Because that's the kind of like mental devastation it would take, because if Bruce managed to figure out a way to merge him and Hulk into one individual, whatever painstaking or well thought out process he had will have to be completely reversed, destroyed, or outright nullified through mental trauma in order to get back to any kind of ass kicking Hulk we see. And when it comes to an ass kicking Hulk we want to see, you better be careful what you wish for.
Well, damn.
Hmm.
Can I give my answer real quick? I'm sorry, I've been holding this back the whole time. Like, it's making me giddy. There's only one way we get the Rageful Hulk back, and I am 100% fine with the careful what you wish for. I mean, because this could set him up to be a villain later on that that the Avengers or somebody has to deal with, right? But there's only one way we get there, And we all know what it is. Let's not beat around the bush anymore. It's kill his son. Kill his kid. You want Rachel Hulk? You take a bit from what was it? World War Hulk? You take a bit from that pretty much, and you kill his kid in front of him. Like you take the one thing that he actually has a connection with right now, which is his son, and you kill him right in front of him. Hell, I would just about go as far as if you really want him to become World Breaker Hulk, you kill him and She-Hulk right in front of him. If you want World Breaker, I think like if you at least want World War Hulk, which is borderline close to that, you kill his son right in front of him, make him lose his ever-loving mind over seeing his son die, and yeah, you're going to get him to rage out. I'm tired of seeing this Professor Hulk, because whenever I thought we was getting a Professor Hulk, I thought we was getting closer to comics, an actual big, bulky, ape-looking Hulk, just with a brain. But instead, we got this toned down, half and half version of Bruce Banner and the Hulk, with more so of his face. I,
Plot
I
reasons,
mean,
man.
I was gonna say, I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it. You want to make Thanos seem strong. So, what's the strongest way to, or what's the best way to make him look strong, other than to make Hulk hide, right? But even since we've gotten Professor Hulk, the most rage I've seen come from him is whenever he threw a bitch across Timbuktu Lake. Other than that, we ain't seen him do all that much. There was a deleted scene of him jumping from a building. We seen him snap his finger. And that hurt his arm. To me, even in an odd way, I feel like him snapping with the gauntlet should have made him, his pissed off side of the Hulk, want to come out even more, because he was getting extremely fucking hurt. That, or you would think he would turn into complete Bruce. And hey, that might be a reason why, like in Shang-Chi, we do see him as Bruce Banner. It's because he got hurt so bad, he had to turn, or it turned him back into just Bruce. But you gotta have something that just absolutely pisses the son of a bitch off. I don't think just having him have to face up against Wolverine's gonna do it. I think you gotta kill his kid. And as bad as it sounds, I'm fine with seeing that happen, especially with how we got introduced to Scar. Scar looks like he smokes vapes and maybe hangs out at the beach. Like, he don't look like Scar from the comics. He looks like a fucking hipster. Like he should have just a shit ton of tattoos covering, smoking from his little vape pen. Maybe have on a beanie too. Fuck it, why not with him? So, Mikey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you out like that.
No, you're all right.
But if we're going to get a pissed off Berserk Hulk, let's just do the easy thing, rip the Band-Aid off and kill Scar. Is that all for question one? Alright, so my second question, and this one's a little bit deeper, I guess. You know, we're coming up on Secret Wars, and Secret Wars is supposed to be just as big or bigger than Endgame, right? And we all know that in Endgame, we have, at least that I can think of, two deaths, and both of them hit fucking home and made your boy cry. That was the first movie that had ever made me cry. So, with that being said, in Secret Wars, who doesn't make it out? Because you gotta imagine some characters aren't going to make it out more than likely. Who's it going to be? According to when it comes out. If they get Thor 5 out before Secret Wars, he did in the comics, didn't he? I, I think in the 2015 run, I think he did though. Uh, I mean, it's got to be somebody that's going to tug at your heartstrings. If you're, yeah, I was thinking Bucky maybe Star Lord. I don't know. I don't know it. Is there anyone in this one that has that it's going to hit at home? I mean, to think too, we have, as far as I know, this is just a wild number that I've heard. We got about like 70 different fucking characters that's going to be in Secret Wars, ranging from the Fox universe, X-Men, and the other Fantastic Four movies, and uh,
Hmm.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be in our universe. So I can only think of one character that's probably going to hit home, at least with me. And there's an argument to be made on how that wouldn't make sense, but I mean, it can be argued back and forth, especially since it's going to be like we're getting rebooted right after that movie. Spider Man. If you kill off Spider Man, I mean, that's. I mean, yeah, and maybe you don't kill off like Toby or Andrew, like you go for the big hit with killing off Tom Holland. And the reason why I say that you can make the argument of, well, he got signed on for 3 more movies. I mean, yeah, but if you go in, if you think about it, and there's a chance of at the end it's Franklin Richards and his dad sitting there remaking the multiverse or remaking the universe, you can bring some of these characters back. I mean, they've talked about bringing back Iron Man and Captain America later on in the MCU, just that way we have these well-known characters back. But I mean, to me, something like that is, I think that might be the biggest punch. If you, I mean, we've seen Toby almost die so many times now. I don't know if it's going to hit the same for me or not because we've seen it so much. But I mean, if you just go ahead and that's my only part. The only other person I can think of that's probably going to bite the bullet in this movie is going to be Ant-Man. Just because of how many different times we've heard of, didn't I already kill you? Or we see a skeleton already. So, I mean, I feel like that's like our biggest hint of, okay, if we're going to kill somebody, this is who we're going to do. Mikey, what do you think?
I'm not too entirely sure. I was thinking, a good rug pull might be, Doctor Strange. And you brought it up, you thought maybe in the 2015 run, comics run, he did die. But to that extent, man, I can't express to you how many times Stephen Strange has bit the big one.
Right.
Because he has bit it. That man has arguably bit it more than like other Marvel characters have ever bit the big one. Just because of all the weird shenanigans him and his powers get up to. But man, I had it and I lost it. Spider-Man would be a real big gut punch. The reason the reason it would wound me is like we bring up Toby and like, yeah, it wouldn't be that big. It'd be big to me, but the biggest reason it'd be big to me is because it could be, well, no, maybe not. But my thought was, Last Stand Spider-Man, but that might wind up being its own thing. I think Andrew, not saying I wanted to see it happen, but I think it would be a good pick because what if Andrew Spider-Man is the one that has to train Miles? There's that thought. A Spider-Man who has failed and lost control and come back from the brink and prove to himself that he can be better, that he can still be a hero, that he can still do good, would probably be like someone who's been around the block as often as he has could make for a good mentor. I mean, Toby would be a huge gut shot. Not Toby, I'm sorry. Tom would be a huge gut shot, but we all already had our hearts ruined by watching his Spider-Man die once already. So when it comes to the Spider-Man, it's a odd balance of beating a dead horse.
Does Loki die again? I mean, does Thor get to see him and get to see that he had done good, or does he get to tell Thor about what he had gotten to do finally, and how he pretty much got to be like a god and just sit on the throne? I mean, because that throne's going to get taken from him. I can go ahead and tell you that fucking much right now. And God Emperor Doom's going to be taking over that throne. So, I mean, that's not a far-fetched idea to think he's going to get killed. I think I thought of one that it's a far odd thought. And I'm curious on which one would hit worse. Especially considering the fact of our Doctor Doom in this. Is it far-fetched to say either Pepper Potts or Tony's daughter? I mean, just to have Doom have his mask off or something to play a mind game on one of them. Just, I mean, I could definitely see it with Pepper because of her being over or one of the main overseers over Stark Industries and all of his tech and everything, and Doctor Doom thinking, I don't necessarily need this, but I mean, it's an idea, I guess. I mean, on the bright side, we ain't got. This is awful, but on the bright side, we ain't really got to worry about Black Panther. I mean, because if that's not going to be a heart puncher, man. I mean, unless the dude that takes over the mantle just sounds exactly like him and keeps his mask on, maybe. But not really. Now if this was like his last movie, then holy shit. Don't know if you'd be able to keep the tears from flowing. But I don't know. It's a lot harder, I think, because just we haven't had a lot of big time heroes that we've been following like we did leading up. So there hasn't been anybody that really feels like if we lose you, it's going to hurt like hell. Who knows? And maybe they make us feel that way with like a far fetched of seeing Vision die again. Since we're getting introduced to the kids and everything, and maybe they all get reunited again finally, and then bang, Vision's dead. I don't know. It's a good thought, but it's one of those that it's up in the air on who could not make it out of this movie. I mean, if you went by the 2015 comic, I mean, not that many characters did make it until it got rebooted. There's only a couple of characters that came out on the other side. Oh yeah, we always got rumor has it. This will be every time we get on here. I am going to try to have us some rumor has it for us to go over. So I got us some, and I'm curious about what y'all think about all these. So let's get this thing started with rumor has it Wyatt Six to possibly have a maze at Halloween Horror Nights. If you don't know who Wyatt Six is, shame on you. It's a wrestling faction of the WWE based around Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt passed away 2 years ago now, right? Or so? Yeah, somewhere around there. He was a great guy. That hit like hell. But we now have his creation running around in the WWE, and there has been a rumor of his faction getting a maze at Halloween Horror Nights for this year. Slater, I'll let you lead this off. Give me your thoughts on this. Mikey?
I think it would be absolutely fantastic if this turned out to be true. Um, man, man, it would be so cool. But not only that, it could genuinely help raise awareness for what happened to Bray in its own way. Of course, I think it should be more or less inspired, but mostly by and large his faction, and the scare factor that they have, because that's the point. But in its own way, it could also uplift certain things, maybe certain uh, charities, to help with heart disease or anything else. Something that would honor Bray and win him and win him, in their own in their each individual legacy as well as the people they have loved and continue to represent.
So I definitely think this would be fucking incredible for us to get at HHN. Uh, it, with every rumor that I've heard from HHN for this year, it just makes me want to just drive down one morning, get there in the afternoon, go through HHN, sleep in my fucking car, and head back the next day. I mean, it's sounding incredible. And if I'm not mistaken, I very well could be. Wasn't one of the guy that did the Fiend or helped bring the Fiend to life? Wasn't he like a part of Blumhouse? Yeah, look that up. See if is a part of Blumhouse's production team with occasions. Because I think that it's either that or it's just that he's been known in the horror genre. Uh, so while you're doing the what? Right. Uh, listen, this would be an emotional kick for me too. Just being able to step inside of the mind of Bray Wyatt, pretty much, is what we'd be able to do. And what I imagine this maze would look like is a while yes, having the Wyatt Six characters all throughout, I also imagine we'd be seeing the Firefly Funhouse. And we'd also be seeing the Fiend. There's a good chance that we get to see somebody dressed as the Fiend himself. Obviously, Uncle Howdy and all these other characters, but man, could you imagine? And it wouldn't even have to be that. Could you imagine if, like, towards the end or something, they just have up above a little silhouette looking like cutout of Bray Wyatt holding the lantern or something? Or the Fiend holding the lantern? The amount of emotions that I'd have going through that house, I'd be terrified out of my mind. I would be happy as hell to see this. And I'd also be sad as hell because, it brings back the memories of Bray. And God, do I miss that wrestler. That was the first wrestler I ever got emotional over in such a way because of their passing. And the only reason why I say that too is because I didn't really watch wrestling whenever Eddie Guerrero passed. So I didn't have that emotional connection with him like maybe you did, Slater and Mikey. But so to me, this would just be that emotional connection on a whole nother level. And also just being able to hear the sound of that one piano note. I mean, you could play that the whole time while you're going through this house. And shivers down my spine the whole time.
But you know
I would
what's
absolutely love it.
I'm sorry, I got to interject real quick. I just got to talk about how like beautifully sinister this is. That piano note is so chilling, dude. But it's so mesmerizing. It's so enchanting. The way it lingers in your head, and if you think about it, you can replicate in your mind. You can imagine, and with accuracy, know exactly what that note sounds like.
Uh-huh.
And it just draws you in deeper. There's so much sinister genius in that. Sorry, I
And,
had to nerd out for a
no,
minute
you're
there.
good. And like if you hear that one note too, and if you've listened to that song, you're just waiting for the rest of that song to kick in. So that way you can belt out with it. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think that would put the full song in the house, but if they did, I'm pretty sure that's how you're going to get me to break down and cry, especially if you show me a cardboard cutout silhouette of Bray up above me on my way out. Right, but that's what I'm saying is like we could get so many different versions of the Fiend inside the house. We could have like the original one. We could have the burnt one. We could have what he was supposed to be in wherever he returned as the Fiend. Even we could have different models of it, and it'd be so beautiful. That would be one that I would pay extra just to take the lights on tour of just that house in of itself. Like, don't get wrong, Terrifier house, sure, maybe, but man, I really hope that they do. But am I going to also hold out hope on this? No, because I have no idea what all they have planned. All right. Any other thoughts or comments before we move on into next rumor has it? All right. Rumor has it Henry Cavill or Cavill, however how you say his last name. I have such a hard. Okay. Well, anyway, oh Henry is of course set to be in the MCU, and get this, the role that they are saying he is going to get is none other than Annihilus. Annihilus. Thoughts?
So, real quick, listeners, I also had to do this, so any shade that gets cast at me is fully earned. I did a quick research. I did some quick research. For anybody who doesn't know, Annihilus is a supervillain and an interdimensional conqueror who first appeared in the Fantastic Four Annual Number 6 and 1968. He is primarily an adversary of the Fantastic Four and is also known as the Living Death that Walks.
Pretty much the next later on down the road big bad
It's
for
Annihilus is essentially what's worse than the scroll. Oh,
a robotic bug with a robotic bug army. Pretty much. Well, I mean that is in my. I was going to get there at some point, but just because it gets pushed back doesn't mean that he still can't be looked at for something like Annihilus. I definitely think it'd be a lot different of a role for him to play in, especially since it'd be mainly just voice acting and mocap. Uh, and you also got to think, even with it being voice acting, more than likely he's gonna have a something over his voice to make it sound completely different. Because I don't know if y'all have ever heard the character of Annihilus, but he sounds a lot more like a gravelly version of Ultron in a way. If that makes any sense to y'all. So more of like a staticky, gravelly. Definitely would have a different tone set within his voice, but it'd be his voice and him in a mocap suit more than likely running around as a nihilist. Listen, you play the hero for long enough, you end up living, or what's the saying? You live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
the saw is you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Thank you. So, I mean, he's living long enough where he can potentially see himself as a villain. And I'll tell you another thing too. I'm not against this neither, considering the fact of how much stuff he's already taking on. He has, I know his passion project that he's working on, trying to get up and going, is the Warhammer 40K, I believe.
Warhammer.
So th- that's his baby right there. I know he's got that, and he's also got a Highlander movie coming up too. That's in the works that he's going to be a part of. So he's got a really busy schedule. And if he wants another big role and, wants to hold off and wait a little bit later on down the road, take your time with it because, I mean, it's going to be a while before we get to Annihilus, I think, in his story. It definitely is, I think, coming down the pipeline eventually, and it could be with the Nova series because he is one of the main villains for Nova as well. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it'd be really cool to see him playing the villain role instead of the hero. So, any other comments or questions on that? All
No,
right. moving on to the next rumor has it. Rumor has it, sticking with the eyed to play, Robert Pattinson is eyed to play a key character in the MCU. But who? No one knows right now, obviously. That's the reason why it's in the rumor mill. Who do you want to see him play? First off, let's throw that out there. That's what we know him as right now. What are your thoughts on him joining the MCU? Let's go a little bit easier. Mikey? Look,
Um, you see, I'm rolling through my Rolodex of viable MC characters, and I'm, holding each character as I go through side by side with Robert Pattinson, right? Or
uh-huh.
Pattison. And I'm drawing a lot of blanks, but I'm getting there slowly, I think. I'm just really having to click through the characters here. Uh
What do you think just of him in general joining?
uh it's hard not to see him as anything. Like I see him as Batman now because I was very impressed with his performance.
Yeah, you
But
good.
I don't see the harm in it. I don't see why not. Why shouldn't he be able to join? I think he should. Why not? That's
Yeah.
my feelings on it. Man, trying to think of who he could play because I'm
Well,
I'm trying to go like I'm considering his build, his acting talent. Of course, he's done way more than just be Edward in Twilight and be in the Batman movie.
right.
Uh,
Let me throw out a character real quick for you. See what you think, and you can look him up and put the side by side with him. All right. And
okay.
this is one that I've heard from, especially the Cosmic Wonder on YouTube. He's thrown out the idea of him playing Molecule Man. If you don't
Molecule
know
Man.
who Molecule Man is, he is a very big time character for the MCU, especially with this Secret Wars or heading into the Secret Wars story. Molecule Man, he's the exact same person in every multiverse, like in every universe. There's only one of him, and they are all the exact same. And what ends up happening is Doctor Doom goes. Him and Strange originally go around trying to blow him up in every universe to try to save the universes. Well, they realize that that's not really working out how they would like for it to have. So what they do is they collect a bunch of molecule men or a bunch of molecule mans into pretty much a shipping container to throw at who is it? The Beyonder, I think, or the Beyonders, one of the two. Throws a shipping container of a bunch of molecule men at him to blow him up, and Doctor Doom is able to absorb the power, and Molecule Man helps him get the powers from the Beyonders after that. And later on in the Secret War story, he takes the power away from Doctor Doom so that way he can just take on Reed Richards in a level fight. I can't remember if he takes away the powers in full or if he just takes some of the powers and splits it between him and Reed. That way they can both have an even fight. But he does play a big role in Secret Wars and leading into it, and that would put him in a main role that puts him beside Robert Downey Jr. and right beside Doctor Doom and gives him a lot of time. What do you think, Mikey? I mean, have you gotten to see the character right beside him yet?
Um, yes and no. I mean, yeah, I see Molecule Man. I see what you're talking about.
I mean, just the shaggy hair part. I mean, Pattinson can do the
Right.
shaggy hair like him too. Kind of has the exact same resemblance of the character. But I mean, even if not, I mean, I don't know that many different characters that you could throw him as. I mean, maybe one of the X Men that are coming up in the new one. But even then, he's like, what, almost in his 40s now, and I know that they're looking for a lot younger for it. There's a lot of back and forth that you can go with him. Okay. So I don't know how much you heard, but I threw out the idea of him playing Molecule Man. Oh, well, alrighty. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, have you seen Molecule Man? You, okay. I mean, if he's supposed to be playing a key character in the MCU, if you think about stories that are coming up and what key characters are, or what there are of key characters, Molecule Man is a key character if they go that route. I mean, because to me, it's either they're going to go the route of Molecule Man or they're going to have Wanda play the part of Molecule Man for Secret Wars, I think.
Okay, so I'm going to uh, throw out a couple of names, one of or a few characters here, and now I'm going to lead with characters that I think he could show up as. I see where you're going with Molecule Man, and I agree.
Uh huh.
I think that would be a good pick. Tell me how you guys feel about. Okay, real quick. Picture Robert Pattinson, Silver Surfer? Question mark.
If we eventually get that Silver Surfer, yes.
Okay, so that was like the first thing that came to mind when I was like, you know what, Fantastic Four movie coming up. You know, I understand their beef with Galactus is a huge deal through their whole plot, among many other things. But I was like, you know, Robert Pattinson, Silver Surfer, that could work. I'm gonna throw out another name here. Not seriously recommending this, but it's just another role I could definitely see Robert playing. Warren Worthington III, also known as Angel or Archangel from the X-Men. I can picture him doing it. I just can. Um, but that's about it. I'm having a hard time. Other than, I mean, there's Molecule Man, Silver Surfer, or like Archangel. Those are the ones in my head.
What's that? Yeah, possibly. Yes. Yes, I know what movie you're talking about.
I just had a thought, boys. Not to interrupt you, Jordan. Whack or not, Mister Sinister.
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I could see it, but at the same time, I don't think it's.
I think even if he gets buff, he ain't going to be enough. Can I throw out something stupid, Slater? Wolverine.
No.
It-
Okay. All right.
uh,
Man, now I just feel like I'm really racking my brain. I mean, but honestly, Molecule Man might just be the right call.
I was about to say, I'm going to keep it simple and just stick with Molecule Man because, I mean, if you look at his hair, like, I'm not lying. Right now, I'm looking at a photo of him. If you spike that hair up and make it a mess and you clean shave him, yeah, he looks like Molecule Man. I picture the in real life Molecule Man's going to look for an MCU project if we're getting Molecule Man.
I mean, and by all accounts, you may just very well be right because Molecule Man plays such a huge part in the multiverse on large, like en masse.
Right. And that, now, don't get me wrong, too. You said earlier Silver Surfer, and I think that's a really good way to go. My only slight pick I got at you is that I know that we're supposed to get Silver Surfer in this Fantastic Four, but it's the female one.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah. So it is a possibility, but not in the Fantastic Four, or at least not this Fantastic Four. Let's put it that way. Boy, we got more rumor has it than that. All right, we've taken our time this time around, Slater. Well, we'll make it quick. All right. All right. Rumor has it Spider-Man is getting slightly rebooted, meaning a newer, fresher story. Not that Tom Holland's getting kicked out, but like no Ned or MJ. If we get MJ, be like at the very end. Yep. I've heard a bunch of different things. We'd spend a whole nother podcast on different things that could happen with him. Mikey, any thoughts?
Mm, not really.
I mean,
Uh,
with no Ned, I mean that makes it a little bit easier if they want to later on turn him into a Hobgoblin. But anyways, any other thoughts, comments, questions? All right. Next, rumor has it Nova, along with a Strange Academy and another show that I cannot remember the name of exactly, have been canceled or delayed indefinitely. Thoughts on it?
Fair enough.
Okay, Mikey, any comments, questions, or anything?
Um, Not particularly. I'm with Jordan. Kind of upset that Nova's getting pushed back, but more than that, I don't have too much.
Okay. Real quick on my end, I guess for this is, yeah, I'm with y'all. I think it kind of sucks that Nova's getting pushed even more. Strange Academy, yeah, no, I kind of seen why they would want to have a Strange Academy because if you go back to the last Doctor Strange movie, every sorcerer pretty much died in that movie. So who's going to take over all those sorcerers' roles, you know? And so that might be something that gets shown in that movie, right? Or not movie, but TV series is showing the new up and coming um, wave of people to take on the role. Like we seen at the very end, we got to see it with Wong showing. I can't think of her name. Uh, okay. Anyways, they showed him. No, I thought you was talking about the one from She-Hulk. Yeah, I'm talking about the little girl that could hop through different portals into different universes. Yes, they showed her going into this academy pretty much to take on, mastering her own skills and everything. So, it kind of would have been cool seeing that show, I think. But, it is what it is. There's also a possibility we'll get into here shortly of another show that will take that place, if you will. And then there's two left. Slater, I don't know if you want features in before we do the last one or not, because our last rumor has it goes into the topic that you wanted to do at the end. So I'll go ahead and shoot this second to last one, and then I'll give you or then I'll let you have the floor before we hop into the last rumor has it, and we'll wrap up the show a little bit. Uh, Rumor has it that Hawkeye and Agatha are both set to get a season 2. Thoughts? Mikey?
I think it'd be interesting. Um, I know a lot of people are very interested in seeing what happens in season 2 of Agatha. Um, and I hope as far as Hawkeye season 2 goes, it impresses just as much as Agatha does.
Right.
That's about it.
I hope that if I had to pick one before the other, I'd like to see Agatha season 2. Just just because I hope that we can at least have that story wrapped up or told more so before Secret Wars. I don't know where they would want to put Hawkeye season 2, or if it would make sense to have it before or after Secret Wars. So that's more so of a thing up in the air. But I definitely like the idea of having both coming back. All right, Slater, what's your rumor has it? I mean, it's according to how they tell the story behind it, really, that would get me interested or not. Like, the last Batman game that I played was disincluding the VR game that had come out. The last set of games I played was the Arkham Knight. Okay, so yeah, I have faith in what they can possibly do with this, and I look forward to it. And like I said, though, still even with it being the same company, they gotta have a good story for it, and so hopefully they can provide me with a good story and a good reason to want to play the game.
I um I feel conflicted, but conflicted in in the realm of concern. Right? I am concerned, but I'm concerned because I want it to be good. I'm not concerned that it will fail. I'm concerned because I want it to succeed. Um, you know, I'm going to have as much faith as possible that Rocksteady's going to do right by it and produce a product that is satisfactory for us. Um, More than satisfactory for us, but beyond that, I'm very attached to the Arkham games. Very attached to the Arkham games. But like I've said before a few times this episode, all that we can really do is hope for the best and wait and see.
Well, good stuff. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns on that? All right. Finally, wrapping up our nice rumor has it for this week. Rumor has it the X-Men are going to get a TV series along with their X-Men movie. Now, this is rumored to possibly be a X Academy or Academy X show, or they could call it something simple as the School for the Gifted or whatever they call it originally. Um, what are y'all's thoughts on this TV series? And what do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be the same thing, or you think it's going to be something completely out of left field that has nothing to do with uh, the school? Mikey?
I'm right there with Jordan. If the X Men are involved, I too am involved with or without an X gene of my own. Uh, I don't know. I gotta say, I feel pretty much the way Jordan does about it, but especially excited for anything to do with the X Men. Whatever they're rolling into, whatever they've got a part of, sign me up.
All right. Any other thoughts, comments, or questions? Well, my thought is so I think that yeah, you do a X-Men Academy or Academy X or title it whatever, but you just show the future of the X-Men and who could be added on because I think that this TV series comes out after our X-Men movie that like whatever they decide to tell for the X-Men in movie form. I think we get a group of them in the movie and then maybe we build the team up even more with this X Academy and we get a deeper dive into uh, even the characters that we see in the movie. We get a deeper dive into them and their parts in this academy and how their backstories are interwoven within it as well. But those are my thoughts on it.
Um, no, I don't.
Slater, take us into the last part.
Magneto's experience in the Holocaust and his trauma as a survivor is the biggest driving factor in his overall philosophy about the world and And it is his philosophy that is the number one reason why he and Charles Xavier butt heads so often. Magneto at his core is a survivor, bar nothing, and he will. And the biggest point he tries to make, or that he has, his biggest belief is that he will not be subjugated, he will not be hunted, and he will never be treated as lesser ever again by anyone ever.
So, can I make the slight argument on why they talked about Denzel taking on that role? Okay, so what I heard is that it would be for if they gave him that role, it's a way they can more so modernize the character. So pretty much, instead of it being him as a character that came from the Holocaust, it's him from his times of slavery. So I see where they're coming from with it, and I get everyone's frustrations and their thoughts of, if you're gonna have this character, you have to keep him in his original forms and his original ways. Well, if they tell a modern story of the X-Men, if they're trying to make it so where, you have younger people in these roles, then I can kind of see where you would get somebody that might have not been in the Holocaust because of how many years from that compared to maybe slavery time, or just from the racial injustice that comes from slavery and people wanting to always be racist. I can see that how that's the butting heads and force that's being driven with that version of him. But at the same time, like I said, I get where y'all come from on, no, if we do this character, it's gotta be this way. You had to. Do you mean as far as like the character wise, or do you mean people acting wise? Character wise, as far as I know, we've only had the two. But like I said, I'm looking at this from the outside view and the playing the devil's advocate as to the understanding behind what they would be trying to do with that character. That's how I'm looking at it. I don't think you have to have that character. I don't think you have to have Magneto, and I don't think you have to have Professor X right now. You can. You you sure the fuck can. How the fuck are they telling all these stories without them now? What's that? I'm not talking about from the MCU right now. I mean, because if we made that argument, yes, we've had Professor X. He was a part of the Illuminati. But I'm saying we've had stories without Professor X, and that could be the route that they go, is telling where we don't have a Professor X and where we don't have a Magneto. We don't have to have these characters. Again, according to how they tell the story, because they might not want to tell it the same way because we've already heard it, right? And they don't like stick, and they don't like. How would they fuck up? If you have somebody like, okay, hey, if you have somebody like Gambit leading the X Men, and if you die, you can tell backstories to maybe these characters, but you don't have to have them. That's what, or Cyclops, whoever the fuck it is. Again, okay, all right, okay, but just hear me out. You don't have to have these characters as a main presence. You can tell about that character, but it's the exact same as what they're thinking about with the Fantastic Four. It can be the exact same of what they're thinking about with Superman. We've heard the backstories before a lot to these characters like that. So what's so wrong with telling somebody else? And that's the reason why we got so many different rumors of different people that are coming in as villains. Okay, so last argument I'll slightly make on this because I don't like arguing. It's going to not get us anywhere or then up our butts about it, right? Okay, so we're getting this Secret Wars movie, right? And we'll have the Fox Studios Fantastic Four possibly. We'll have, there's a chance we'll see brand new X Men for some reason. We don't know, right? Okay, so hear me out. What if, yeah, we get Professor X and Magneto in this story? Sure. But what if after that, just just have speculations here. What if instead of it being Charles Xavier being the main front runner on this new team, it's Wolverine? Because this Wolverine is already been around for so long and been through so much that he is well veteran enough to lead and to know what Charles would want from these kids and these new up and coming mutants. And so that way, yes, you can see we can still have a Charles Xavier, and yes, we can still have a Magneto at some point in the Marvel cinematic universe with like Secret Wars or something. But at the same time, someone else that takes over that is also well of age and that has just a significant role, and that's an older person in Wolverine. Because if he's sticking around for who knows how many more movies, well, that's what they're deciding to do, is have him be the main leader over this new X-Men team.
What if instead of the Illuminati, it's the Illuminati, and Xavier just brain blasts me with a vision of him with his legs working, throwing it in a rhombus?
God, I need a drink.
I know who you're talking about. I remember his face. I could see it. No, no, I don't got nothing.
Uh, so the only thing I can think of for this X Men is the possibility with the new Wolverine thing. Hear me out. This is just a kind of a wild idea, I guess. It's not really a new Wolverine either. But I think I'd like to see X-23 take up that mantle. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially since the actress said that she would love the opportunity to do more movies with the MCU if it comes. So, and X-23 is, if you think about what she's been through and where she's at now, she's a good veteran piece for this new X-Men. And since she's worked alongside of two different Logans, it'd be a good, if you're gonna have to pass the mantle on of quote unquote new Wolverine, to me that's the best way to do it. Um, and then
I just had a brain blast, Jimmy Neutron ass style. Um, Charles is using Cerebro trying to find Logan, right? Thinking maybe he got displaced or something. Thinks he finds Logan, goes there, finds Laura instead, and he's like, You're not Logan. And she goes, No, but I am the best at what I do. And he's just like he's just looking at her for a second, and you see her claws poke out, and he's like, oh, I get it.
my only other thing is, according to how long we have Hugh Jackman in the MCU, you know, the joke being you're going to do this till you're 90 or do it till you're 100, whatever. Do it till they kill you, right? I wouldn't be mad if the MCU decides to be nice and just give us an Old Man Logan trilogy or something in that vein.
I could see it.
I would not be mad at that. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Logan movie that we got with the Old Man Logan and that, sure. But, like, give me the comic book Old Man Logan in a trench coat with a cowboy hat. I think that'd be kind of cool.
No.
Nope.
Yee.
We'll be diving into a lot more than just that. We're just diving in theme parks in general, my man. I got some stuff that we can talk about with Dollywood. I got stuff we can talk about with Lake Winnie. All sorts of parks. Yeah.